All right, welcome back to Mootify. This is our milestone 2 presentation. Got some updates to share. So, as mentioned, our goal is to visualize your Spotify listening history with stable diffusion. And a lot has happened since we first introduced this idea, so we're just going to go ahead and explain a little bit about it. For this milestone, we set some goals, and all of them were accomplished and some more. So, we wanted to achieve user login and authentication through Spotify Auth 2.0. That was complete. We got the Spotify API to work. We were able to use JavaScript to retrieve and display data, and user navigation works. And so we're going to go ahead and demo this just to show them off.
So yeah, with the home page, we can log in, and this login will redirect us to a Spotify page that allows us to ask a user if we can access their data. As you can see here, we hit login. We'll ask you for your username or email address, then to the password. And once we log in, this will send a token to our server, and the server will ask OAuth to make sure, double check with Spotify that it's all good and we actually do have permission. And then we send another code, which you can see in the URL up there with the question mark code equals and all those random words or letters and numbers. And that just is another kind of key to unlock the user's data. And this isn't fully implemented, as in we don't have the OpenAI fully implemented on the browser, but we have the dynamic login already done and it's working.
Yeah, so that's sort of the authentication part of things. We also have a few different pages here. Here we just have a general about page. And before I click on community here, I just kind of want to demonstrate how the database is working. So we're using data store to hold user information, such as like the Spotify username, and also information about where we're storing the images that we're generating with the AI. And here we're storing these entities containing user information. Here we're using the ID as the Spotify username. So we got that stored, and we're just storing the image path to the image that was generated with the AI. And we're storing those images with cloud storage here, Google Buckets it's called, which is nice because that way we don't have to store anything locally, the images locally on our server or some other file system of that sort. But here, as you can see, this one here is going to be the name of our bucket. As you can see here, we have a folder containing images. And here, as you can see, it just stores, images here, PNGs, and other types of images too. But in our app.py, we have this function called fetch images here, which is on the client end, we send a request here, and I kind of just for demonstration purposes put the upload and the retrieval code in the same thing here. So once we go ahead and load that community page, it'll run all this. So it's gonna upload some dummy data for demonstration purposes with like an image here, and that's going to send it to our cloud storage and data store. And then later on here, we're just doing a query and returning the list of image paths. So if I go in here, click community, it takes a second to load. But as you can see here, it fetched a couple images from our database. And if I go back here in the data store, Google Cloud Console here, you can see, yeah, we've got a new entity, and then also, once this refreshes, a new image here as well. I'll hand it off.
We are able to authorize a user through the Spotify OAuth API, and then authorize our app to view the data. Then behind the scenes, we round up their favorite songs, artists, and genres to create a prompt. And then this prompt is then passed on to the OpenAI API to generate an image. And when the image is generated, we store the user's unique Spotify name, as we saw before, Dan demonstrating the cloud bucket. And then the user can jump between home, about, and community to explore more of our website. So what's next? So for the goals of the final milestone, it's to enhance and also get the prompt generator to work with the OpenAI API with the login. So as soon as a user logs in, it will immediately generate a prompt and generate that image. And also another goal would be to clean up and style the UI for a more flawless experience. There are some improvements that can be made to the React hooks, and Zipon can explain what we could possibly do with our own stable diffusion model.
Right now, we try to use like AI APIs instead of our training own model. We're still working on that, but let me just a little bit explain right here. As we know that OpenAI API using the model's name is DLE, which is I mean, obviously it's have a desert of the state of the I think that capabilities. So which is mean like it will be easy to render texture and apply transformation to exciting images. So for us, though, it's more like to using the diffusion model to instead of just using the API.
Yeah, and further on, we'll refactor our code and roll out some testing with friends and family.
Yep. And then more about the prompt. So for now, what we have is very simplistic prompts. So for example, here we could see this image. We used psych rock, sad music, and the OpenAI API returned us this. So a lot of the trouble with creating a prompt is creating an efficient algorithm for this. So something like this could be very simple. Like for example, in the code base, I was able to make it work so it would take the user's top genre and then attach just random words. For example, like, it'd be psych rock and then impressionist digital art. So it would just tack together this prompt. And so on the local side of it, we're able to do that. But we want to definitely improve this and think about and test what could be best. For example, something like genre will work, but then when we focus on artists and song titles, there are certain barriers we can't pass because, for example, one artist and song might work for this user, but when a different user has a different listening history, it might get blocked by the OpenAI API for content policy. So I noticed when I was testing that there would be certain things like, Beach House Space Song would work, but then if I pass in Lil Uzi Vert's Do Song called for free, it would get blocked for content policy. For what reason, I'm not sure, but that is something we have to work around. And then another thing is, depending on how simple we keep it, we will have to keep variation in mind, or else users will get repeated images or very similar images. And so I will try to implement using the idea of variations, and that is something the OpenAI API provides.
Yeah, we can see more of these prompts that we tried generating from a user's top genre, artists, and overall listening history.
Yep. And then one thing about the high energy, that is something that is, I guess, objective. So for a user's listening history, you could take a song's audio features and it will return a float based on various examples like acousticness, tempo, and then they also have like an energy aspect to it. And so we could kind of use that to set scales and translate it to English. So, if it has low energy, we could translate that number to something as simple as low or high in this case.
That is Mootify for milestone 2.